I used to make a lot of content around trauma, healing from trauma, self love, things of that nature. And though I do believe that these things or these subjects are extremely valuable and must be focused on, I am also in a place now where I realize that many of those messages were helping to perpetuate the problems of dysfunction that we are currently seeing within, the so-called community, right? I realized that because I was kind of scapegoating trauma as the reason behind a lot of this criminality, I was basically enabling a lot of these different individuals' behaviors, right? When I would say, well, people are dealing with trauma and that's the reason why they're doing the things that they're doing. What I was missing in that equation is the fact that they're still doing what they're doing. These individuals are making decisions to be criminals. And unfortunately, we've made it okay for criminals to get away with what they get away with. We don't hold them accountable. We're not willing to distance ourselves and in some cases fully cut off those relationships as is necessary. Now, as a dude who at 19 years old got off the dope, got out them streets and left behind a lifestyle that I had known throughout my entire teens, it was harder for me, honestly, to leave my boys behind than it was the substances. I'll be honest with you. The lifestyle itself and the people around me, the kindred spirits that I felt in my trauma bonds, was so much more difficult to separate from. But I knew I had to cut those people off at a certain point. And it did take some years when I finally just said, I can't anymore. I'm not answering any calls. I'm not showing up to any places. I'm not, trying to do a reconciliation because my boys, some of them were so far gone. They were already on their path to their demise. And that's exactly what happened. Three of them, may God rest the dead, they lost their lives to that lifestyle. Simple as that. And something in my spirit was always telling me distance, distance, distance. And we have this idea that to love somebody means to be there no matter what in physical presence and to continue to try to pull them through what they're in. Not understanding that, like in my situation, the most loving thing that my family did was to finally separate themselves from me emotionally and mentally. First and foremost, because it was hurting them. Imagine what they were going through to see their boy living in this way, the one they never raised to be that in the beginning. All of a sudden, he comes this little junkie. He's become this little dope boy, this little, you know what I mean? A caricature of who he truly is. Like he really is a nerd. He really is a creative. He really is a communicator and a philosopher. But now he wants to be a thug. Now he wants to be a D-boy. Now he wants to be all these sorts of things. And so they finally made a decision to separate from me after years and years of trying to get through to me. They just couldn't. Things were getting progressively worse and they distanced themselves from me. And it was only then that I had the opportunity to introspect. It was only then that I had the opportunity to think like, damn, I'm doing wrong. It's like some folks, it's only when their mama stops picking up them calls, stops, giving commissary. You understand me? Stop putting money on their books. That's the only moment they realize like, damn, bro, I'm really by myself here. I am really by myself. Nobody is coming to save me. And it's because of me. I did this. Instead, we like to coddle. Instead, we like to nurture somebody to their own destruction. And it's unfortunate because individuals who speak out against this and are the most vocal about getting rid of the criminal elements in our culture and really not sympathizing with it. You can empathize maybe if you've been through the same type of situation, because that's what empathy is, right? There's an understanding there. Or you can have compassion, but they say compassion is incomplete if you're not included in it. If you're not included in that equation, then it's not compassion. It's likely codependency. It's likely a sort of people-pleasing temperament that you have. You need to be needed. You're afraid of what the outcome may be. Maybe you have a guilt complex. And so you continue to perpetuate these toxic behaviors and these toxic relationships with individuals who are indulging in toxic behaviors. And, there is one threat of you could easily fall into it and become a part of it and be included in it. But I think worse off is the fact that you're going to be wasting away your life while they're wasting away theirs. Nobody wins in that. They say if somebody is drowning in the ocean or pool, whatever it may be, if you go to save them, you do your best to bring them afloat. You do your best to calm them down. But if they're kicking and trying to pull you down with them because they're freaking out, they teach you this as a lifeguard. They say you need to let them go. As a matter of fact, if you have to, kick them off of you. They tell you to kick the person off of you who you're trying to save if they are pulling you down, because it's better that you live, at least one person live, than two people drown. And that's what's happening to so many. That's why it feels like there's so many people, there's large numbers of individuals who are, not just committing the crimes, but are enabling the criminality. And when I'm talking about criminality, I'm talking about the mindset. I've kind of coined this phrase of criminal culture, which is, the obvious actual crimes that are being committed, but also just living in dysfunction and debauchery. It's a sinful lifestyle, as some may want to say, right? You're living as a 304. You're out in them streets, for them streets, about them streets, any of the above. Like, you are living a life that is actively destroying your life. You're living in a way that is not conducive to your highest good. Those behaviors, and then those behaviors compounded over time. Those behaviors double down on and triple down on, as opposed to being eradicated. Because in life, there is no stagnation. There is only change, and change does not promise progress. You are either growing or you are dying. Simple. You are either becoming or you're either untethering. You understand me? You're moving forward or you're moving backwards. And there's folks who are actively moving backwards. They're regressing in their lives. You're going to see them in 30 years, and they won't only be in the same location, but they're going to be 50 or 100 pounds heavier. They're going to be significantly worse off in health. They're going to be significantly worse off in their finances, significantly worse off in their relationships. Maybe before they had a little girlfriend. Now they got 2 divorces, or now they got 3 baby mamas or 4 baby daddies. You understand me? These types of individuals who are making decisions in the moment. If they are willing to be helped, then you can step in and do something about it. If they are willing to be helped, you can step in and do something about it. But if they do not, and if they're not willing to, they don't show through their actions that they genuinely want to change, you have to separate yourself from these individuals. It's a difficult conversation to have for anybody, because it's usually somebody you deeply care about, you deeply love, you want in your life. And I understand that. I get it. Trust me, I'm well aware of that. There's people that I loved with everything in me. They were my people, my day ones, my boys. Like the only people that I had a long-term brotherhood and connection with, because I had moved so much as a kid, literally from one country to the other, one state to the next. Like, all of a sudden I found some level of stability, and in that stability, there was a lot of instability. And as time went forward, it got worse and worse and worse. And it was only when I finally made a decision to step out of that myself and to step away from it that I could at least save myself. And now I'm here, able to do the same for those who are ready to hear a message like this. You're not going to be helpful to anybody, just like that lifeguard. We need you to be able to save the person who's not going to be, actively trying to bring you down. You can probably save 9 lives out of 10 if you're willing to kick off that one. And again, it sounds brutal because some of these people are your blood relatives. I know what it is to be separated from blood on the basis of, okay, this relationship here, this is dysfunctional as hell. This relationship cannot stand. This individual is degenerating in their state. You're trying to give them some advice. You try speaking to them. All of a sudden you find yourself becoming a free therapist. At least get a damn invoice sent out or something. At least get some out of that situation. Because otherwise all you're getting is like you're staying in this proverbial hamster wheel. You're going to get nowhere with it. And especially if you're dealing with people who are addicts to something, whether it's addicts to, addicted to them streets, addicted to dope, addicted to putting that coochie out there. These individuals can only think through the perspective and the prism of their addiction. So everything is to serve those addictions that they have. So you think you're getting through to them. You think that finally they're understanding, and then all of a sudden they finesse you, and all of a sudden they sneak and do this little whatever because they're still using this as a coping mechanism, and you can't strip that from them. Like, I used to believe that, not everybody can be saved, or I can't save everybody, but now I realize I can't save anybody. I can't save a single person. I can guide somebody. I can speak into somebody's life. I can maybe be a catalyst of change, but I can't change them. I can't physically, turn them from their habit and strip that thing away from whatever it is that's in their psyche, whatever is in their heart. I can't take that away from them. They have to deal with that by themselves. They got to reconcile within themselves. And that's a difficult thing to accept. But if we want a actual systemic change, where I was talking about white supremacy, it's not white supremacy. It's the system of the behaviors and the values that we perpetuate. That's the actual system, the internal, the belief system. I say it's not the system out there, it's the system in here. It's the belief system. Simple. So, yeah, that's the message for today. And I know a lot of folks out there hearing this like, damn, I know exactly who it is. I know exactly who they are. I know exactly what I need to do. Do that. Do that. And again, I can't save you from you associating yourself with bad association. But at a certain point, you'll see. It's when the pain outweighs the pleasure, then you will change. Shout out Tony Robbins. When the pain outweighs the pleasure, then you will change.
I used to be afraid of the dark, a place unknown like a heart in their heart. I used to see my life in the bar. Now the kids unchained, every shackle is lost. 2 steps in the moonlight, 2 step in the daytime. You just know when it feel right. You got a feeling the time's night. See you through those shades that I just threw on. Through my lenses, you just can't do no wrong. I fell in love with myself again. I fell in love with myself. I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time is taking. A 365, that's a full rotation. I see you looking up, you know them constellations. Constantly gazing like house of praises, you get to praising.